Hello and welcome everyone. In this video, we are going to learn something related to the card payments. So we have started online classes on the card payments and ISO 8583. Every month, one new batch starts, that is a weekend classes. So you can always inquire related to the training enrollment. You can drop us an email. All the related information, I'll explain it to you towards the end of this particular video. So let's get started of today's topic on the card payments and ISO 8583, which is very important topic in the card payments, a very basic and the important one. So let's get started. So the topic is four corner model into the card payments, right? So four corner model means there will be four parties over here. One being the card holder, the one who holds the card. The second one is acquirer. Third one is the issuer of the card. And fourth one, the card scheme. So let's understand this four corner model and the importance of each of the parties into the payments of the card, right? So let's get started. The four corner model or four party model is basically the foundation of the modern card payment systems, which enables seamless transactions between consumers and merchants worldwide. This model ensures efficient, secure, and scalable payment processing by involving four key entities: the cardholder, the merchant's acquirer, issuer bank, and the card scheme. Understanding how these parties interact can help business optimize their payment infrastructure and reduce the transaction risk as well. So let's understand each one of the entities which is available in the key participant of four-party model. The first one being the cardholder. The cardholder is basically the individual who owns a payment card, that is credit or the debit card, and initiates the transaction. This can be consumer making an online purchase, tapping their card at store, or using their card for subscription service. Wherever the cardholder uses its card, basically makes the transaction, and the making transaction has a various option and various places to the merchants online, offline as well. The role of this card holder is to use a card for the purchases, to buy or tap or make online payment. And in terms of interaction, it provides card details to the merchant. You tap it, you provide the details to the merchant. When you make online payment, you provide your card details, CVV, expiry date, cardholder name, and the card number. And then you get OTP. So basically, cardholder provides the card details to the merchant. The next one is next entity, that is the merchant's acquirer, that is the acquiring bank. Now, who are this acquiring bank or the merchant's acquirer? The acquirer, which is also known as the acquiring bank, is the financial institution or the bank that enables merchants to accept the card payments. Let's say, for an example, you have a POS machine and you are a shopkeeper. You have a POS machine, some customer came to your shop and purchased some materials of 100 US dollar, and you placed in this POS machine where he taps it and it gets deducted. So that POS machine would be from the respective bank, let's say CDUS bank. So that CDUS bank is nothing but the acquiring bank. So that is what it is mentioned here. The acquirer, also known as acquiring bank, is a financial institution that enables merchants to accept card payments. It processes the transactions on behalf of the merchant and ensures that the funds are transferred correctly. So once the tapping is done on the POS machine of the shopkeeper, then the payment amount via that POS machine after tapping the card should get reflected into the account of the shopkeeper. The role of this merchant's acquirer is nothing but to process the transaction on behalf of the merchants. I, being a shopkeeper, is merchant, right? And the customer who comes in with the card, who had made a purchase of 100 US dollar, will tap in, is a card holder. The interaction is connects merchants to the card networks, ensures payments authorization, and manages settlement. So this merchant acquirer, the acquiring bank, it does all three of it. That is connecting merchants to the card networks, right? Basically, mm, the this acquiring bank reaches out to the different small, medium, and large scale corporates, providing their services wherein they can facilitate on receiving the payment on behalf of the customer, basically the merchants. As part of that, the solution, one of example is the POS machine, right? To receive the payment on behalf of the merchant. One machine or tools medium provided. So the first one is that. And second one is it ensures the payment authorization as well. So once the cardholder taps in the POS machine, it authorizes that transaction as well securely. Now that POS machine is basis, or the bank POS machine, or the customer who comes in with the respective card, whether it is Visa, Mastercard, or Rupee card, it goes into the respective network and then processing happens. Then the third one is it also manages the settlement. This acquiring bank who is providing the solution to the merchant to receive the payment from the respective tool also helps to ensure the settlement happens into the merchant's account after debiting from the cardholder's card amount, right? So that is about the merchant's acquirer. Next thing is the issuing bank or the issuer. Now, who are they? The issuer or the issuing bank is the financial institution that provides payment cards to consumers. It authorizes or declines transactions based on the cardholder's available funds on the credit limit. So it is straightforward. Coming back here. So issuer is the bank where uh, basically has released the card to this particular cardholder, right? Now, basis on the availability of the fund on the cardholder's card, it will allow the transaction which is raised by the merchant acquirers on tapping of the machine or POS machine, whether to accept or not. So that is also one of the factor that issuing bank does it or the issuer does it. The financial institution, it is the financial institution that provides a card to the consumers and authorizes or declines the transaction based on the cardholder's available funds or credit limit. If it is debit card, available funds. If it is credit limit, that is credit card limit. Now, what is its role? It issues cards and approves declines the transactions basis on the availability of the fund. Interaction, if you see, it verifies transaction and shows the cardholder has sufficient funds. So once it receives a request from the acquirer, or call it as merchants acquirer or acquiring bank, it comes to issuing bank to check whether sufficient balance is not there or not. And once they release, they get to know, then it will release the fund. The last but not the least is the card scheme, which is a payment network. Without this entire card payment is not possible. It acts as a medium between the acquirer bank and the issuing bank. The card scheme example, Visa, Mastercard, Express, etc., operates the network that facilitates the communication between the acquirers and issuers. It establishes the rules for processing payments and ensures transaction security. Now, as I was just telling it to you, without the network, even the cross-border payment SWIFT cannot happen. Likewise, for the card payments, without this major players around the world, which includes Visa, Mastercard, American Express, etc., Rupee nowadays in India as well, these operates they operate basically the respective network that facilitate communication between acquirer and the issuers securely, reliably as well, right? So this is required without which the card payment itself cannot happen. The role for these card schemes are nothing but to facilitate transactions between the acquirers and issuers. They also release the respective messages which can be used in terms of the different card payments and interaction that happens between the acquirer to that of your card scheme or to the issuer to the card scheme. Each interactions, right? The MTI is basically that happens by the card scheme itself, and they have released the respective ISO 8583 standard, message standard, which can be used into the respective schemes. That is Visa, Mastercard, American Express, etc. So the role is to facilitate transactions between acquirers and the issuers, and interaction is to ensure secure data exchange and standardizes payment processing rules. So how the four-party model works? The process is the transaction initiation. First thing first is the transaction initiation. The cardholder presents their card to the merchant in store, online, or via mobile app. First thing. Authorization request is the second thing. That is, the merchant's acquirer sends a transaction request to the issuer via the card scheme. Right? So here the customer came in to the shopkeeper, right? Came with the card at the shopkeeper. There is a POS machine. He tapped in for $100. This customer Ram has purchased from this shop. Now, after the card is tapped onto this particular machine, this machine, which is, let's say, um, CDUS, CDUS Bank's POS machine, it then releases the respective messages to the card scheme. Let's say it is Visa. And then it interacts with this particular Ram's bank. Let's say it is State Bank of India, right? So this State Bank of India is issuer bank, and the CTUS is the acquirer bank, correct? So that is what it is mentioned here. The issuer verifies the transaction, checking for available funds or credit limit, and sends an approval or decline message back. So once it comes to this particular issuer bank, State Bank of India, it checks step number 1 and then step number 2. Step number 3 is checks balance is the checks balance. And then if yes, then it sends an approval to the respective scheme. So approval. If it is approved, the merchant processes the transaction and provides goods and services to the cardholder. So if it is okay, it confirms back to the respective CTUS bank that the credit has happened. Settlement happens here. Settlement happens. And then this customer will be notified with the debit. And this customer shopkeeper will notified with the credit. So this settlement is happening in between all of this, right? So last one is a clearing and settlement. That is what it says. The acquirer settles the transaction with the issuer, ensuring funds move from cardholder accounts to the merchant's bank. So this is all about the four-party model in the card payments. So a lot of details related to the card payments is available into our card payments and ISO 8583 training, which tends to happen every month. And all you need to do is you need to email us at swiftpaymentguru@gmail.com, and we will get back to you with the necessary details on the enrollments of this particular training that tends to happen every month. And it's a weekend session, so you can join in after completing your weekdays employer employment, right? So just to quickly brief you on the syllabus part, we have covered this card payments and ISO 853, starting from the basics to the advanced level that any of the candidates should be learning in order to find an opportunities into the market for the card payments and ISO 8583. So we'll basically start with the introduction of the card payments, which includes the four-party model that includes cardholder, acquirer, issuer, and card scheme. Then we'll understand the importance of the owner's transaction into the card payments, and then offers transactions as well into the card payments. What is the importance of the UFT switch with the use cases as well? Transaction routing, which is very important and essential parameter into the card payments, which helps to route to the transactions basis on the messages applicable as well. So all of those discussion would also be done in this particular topics. Then we'll learn about the different types of limits. We have varieties of the limits that is available into the card payments that is applicable for the cards, and what is its significance into the transaction with the various use cases and examples and scenarios. We'll cover that as well. We'll learn about the routing logics, priority routing, NDC protocol, Diebold protocol, acquiring transaction flows, issuing transaction flows, authorization, presentation, authorization versus presentment, matching, settlement, reconciliation, Mastercard outgoing and incoming files, Visa outgoing and incoming files with examples, key keys management, different types of keys that includes your TPK, TMK, JPK, JMK, PVK. We'll learn about these keys very thoroughly and understand each of the respective use cases with the flow diagrams as well. We learn about the payment gateway for the card payments, payment facilitator, and this would be all which we need to understand from the card payments. And once we know about this, then we'll use this ISO 8583 to understand how this processes of the card payments can be used for the various using various ISO 8583 messages. So we'll learn about the first part being this card payments and its processes and basics. Second part of this particular training is where we learn about this ISO 8583 messages, various messages and its use cases as well. That includes some brief description on your ISO 8583 part, that is history and purpose of this ISO 8583, origins of the standard, overview of its application in payment system, ISO 853 in a modern payment system, role in card-based transactions, application in ATMs, point of sales, and online transactions. Then on the message structure part, we'll see the message type indicator MTI, breakdown of the MTI structure, example of MTIs and their uses, BTAMs, primary, secondary BTAMs, structure and role in determining present fields, data fields, overview of the standard fields from 1 to 128, field categories which are mandatory, optional, and conditional, detailed breakdown of the key fields, and then data elements in ISO 8583 wise we'll understand about common data elements fields and field 2, 4, 7, 11, 37, and 39 of these respective common data element fields. Extended data elements also will be covering, which includes your EMV data, transaction specific data, ASCII, BCD, and binary encoding as well. Then we'll learn about the transaction types in this ISO 8583 that includes authorization requests, MTI 0100 and 0110, which is very frequently used. Fields used for authorizations, financial transactions, and then in financial transactions, we have MTIs 0200 and 0210 with the use cases and the flow diagrams and end-to-end flows as well. We'll understand all these. Key fields purchases, cash withdrawals, etc., reversals and cancellation again, which includes your MTI 0400 and 04110. Reversal process and use specific fields, administrative and network management messages, including your MTI 0800 and 0810. Practical examples, message flows, example message exchange between POS terminal and payment processor, example ATM withdrawal transaction, message parsing, step-by-step breakdown of a sample 8583 messages, how to read, understand, and BTAM data fields, common errors into the card payments, error codes and troubleshooting response codes, field consistencies as well. We'll also learn about its implementation and integration, which includes your ISO 8583 and middleware, importance of the middlewares as well into this ISO 8583 implementation, security considerations. We'll understand encryption and security protocols, example 3DES and HSMS, integration with financial systems, connecting ISO 8583 with other standards. Then the next module we'll understand is ISO 8583 variants, which includes your regional and industry variants, difference in ISO 8583 implementation across regions, that is towards Europe or North America and Asia Pacific. Then industry specific variants also will learn which includes your for mobile payments, and we'll also learn about with the ISO 8583 what is the future. There can be a transition into ISO 2022 messaging, which is been already available for varieties of the other payment schemes, right? That is high value payment system, low value payment system, and the cross-border payment system as well. And there's a plan for card payments also to be transitioned, which is XML based. We'll see the migration from ISO 8583 to ISO 2022 in some financial systems, evolving payment standards, emerging technologies in financial messaging, which includes your APIs, blockchain. We'll learn about this analyzing ISO 8583 messages and field data. Case studies will do it. Real world examples of the transaction flows and system issues for the first digit version, second digit, third digit, fourth digit, and common MTS messages also will touch base upon it while we learn about these messages. And the bonus topics, we'll do the walkthrough of the sample messages, EMV, high level understanding on the backend systems like Vision Plus and FISUPs as well. Once we do that, towards the end, we'll also help you prepare on the 50 frequently asked important questions and also help you to prepare on the respective CV, which will help you to find more opportunities in terms of the calls you'll get, which you'll end up getting it as well. So there are a lot of opportunities into the card payments and ISO 8583 skill set employees. So do reach out to us in the respective email ID as mentioned, swiftpaymentguru@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you with the necessary details for the respective enrollment of the respective latest batch. That's it for the day, guys. I'll see you next weekend. Thank you all.